Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Newcomen Oval in Springvale for the start of the new. They were beaten by Williamstown convincingly in the first semi-final. 8 changes to that side. New players are Doug Coop from Melbourne. He missed last year's VFL season with a knee injury. Bill Mithun from St Joseph's in Geelong. Tom Kuipert, Melbourne under-19 captain. And Tim Elliott, who played in the under-19 reserves premiership for Richmond last year. He'll start on the bench today. Anderson Maloney played in the reserves, so they go out of the 20 named. Well, Phil MAYLIN, he's 2 weeks away from taking up a playing role, the coach of the Springvale side. I asked him how the players would handle all the build-up that has made them pre-season favourites.
The football and VFA are well aware of. They've probably had the experience in playing at VFL clubs where they've seen a lot of press about certain things. I haven't had to talk too much about that. They're all pretty revved up.
Coburg lineup and 7 changes to the premiership side from last year. New men are Paul Sullivan from Central Districts in Adelaide and Terry Young, who spent time at Richmond and St Kilda in the VFL. Well, the Lions start as underdogs today, but as I put it to their coach Phil Cleary, that's not unusual, even with their success of the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think a lot of people tended to underscore our performances, probably because we won a lot of close games. I didn't think we were a real power side. Probably true in reality to name us as the underdog given the players we've lost, but we're pretty keen and we trade very well during the week.
Well, Phil Cleary will be joining us when we're not featuring Coburg in the match of the day. Of course, right to left on their home ground. And the first touch almost went to Jared Liston. Angwin couldn't get it out of the middle for Coburg. So Springvale forward, and the mark's taken by Stewart. Long driving kick from Cameron Stewart to Keith Robinson. Plenty of Coburg players down there. Here's Robinson. Nowhere to go. Who's in the middle? Spilt by Gumley. Here's Taranto. A little bit of hesitation from both sides early on, and that's to be expected. There's Rakavolis taking the ball over the boundary line, and Ross mentioned the shiner that Glenn Rakavolis is wearing. It's apparently put Ross's in the shade, which is something to see later on from Glenn, who missed last year's grand final, as did Peter Darby because of injury. So it's good to see them back in the Coburg lineup. Strong work there for the home side by Morgan. Not much headway for them, but there's the mark for Nicol. The blind kick really out of the pack, but Stuart Nicol dropped back there, and he will have the first shot of goal for the 1990 season from about 35 metres out directly in front. And not the best of starts for the Vales, but they're on the board anyway, are behind after 1.5 minutes.
It was a very bad miss, that, Peter. It's quite a relatively easy shot for goal.
Sam Kekovich, Cleary, perhaps his fears that he seemed to have before the match were not completely founded, but a few problems I think Springvale gave him.
Yes, I agree, Pete. I think the furthest thing from Phil's mind at the moment is premiership, so I think he's got a big task at hand right here at the moment. I just feel that their forward structure, I realise they probably haven't got the options, but I feel that their forward structure with Weatherald, Williams and Ingram not going too well has never fared well previously, and they're just a little bit top heavy. And here we hear Phil issuing some instructions. Let's listen.
And it won't be any different today. Cam, you can explode this quarter. Really fly. You're running around, you're looking dangerous. Little bit of luck here and there, and you got a couple of goals. So
Billy Kakur being exhorted on to bigger things. Let's pick up another AFL score. Mithun really showed out in this first term, and Seckel started off like a house on fire at centre half back, but they lost Palm, a real driving force this season. They don't seem to have missed him too much today. Keith Robinson giving them a big focal point up forward.
He is giving them a focal point up forward, and there's nothing quite as exciting as a forward playing well. And he's really doing the job superbly up front. Not only in kicking goals, but creating diversions and knocking on and really keeping the ball entrenched in that forward line. That was one of his 2 goals for the quarter. But you're right, the running players of Springvale are really doing their job, because Coburg are very, very dangerous from the back line when they run the ball out, and they're being manned effectively, hence precluding them from setting up their forward thrust from that back line.
The rucks, Jared Liston kicking a goal here. I think probably honours pretty even there.
Pretty even, apart from the actual centre bounce contest where Springvale have gained the ascendancy. I think out of the 8 or 9 times that it's come out of the centre, I think they've won on 7 occasions. It's Keith Robinson on screen again.
In fact, that was Kuipert.
Kuipert, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
He's at centre half forward there.
I'm
it's
very impressed by Kuipert.
Good big man up forward there to aim at. Weatherall didn't really have a lot of possessions there.
No, has no real influence on the game at this stage, but this guy certainly has. I feel he's been more responsible for keeping the Lions in the...
Come on and cheer your home team on. Come on and catch the VF action. It's Victorian, yours and yours alone. We were the first to play this great game. All the rules you know today are the rules the association made. Victoria's VFA.
$1 doesn't buy you much these days, but VFA club membership works out at just $1 a game. The Victorian Football Association was founded in 1877. Back then, we still used the old imperial currency.
Forward, they've unearthed a super find in young Mithen. I think it's been a tremendous acquisition for them.
Well, that was a report, Shannon there, clobbered by Greg Reynoldson, and things started to go Springvale's way after that. Shannon really got into action, didn't he?
My word.
They might have given him a bit of a jolt, because he was sensational up there in the forward line.
Certainly was, and I think he's had some bearing on blotting out Brian Allison on the ball. I don't think Brian quite relishes, you know, him being in the near vicinity. But here on screen we see one of the rare possessions for Ingram. I'm a big rap for this player. I think he's the one guy that Coburg really need to get in the swing of things, because he can lift the side not only by his own individual ability, but he brings so many players into the game. And on screen we see Langan kick one of his 2 goals for the quarter. It was relatively quiet, but sparked in a bit of activity towards the latter stage of that game. And here's a guy that I'm very impressed with, Craig Elliott. You know, a real dasher from that half-back line. And there's a close example where he followed the ball up and, in fact, retrieved the ball and kicked the goal. But Coburg's problems really are beginning from there, the centre bounce area. They're having great difficulty doing anything with Clark. And this man on screen has really led from up front, Robinson. He's been a superb forward, a superb captain. And not only has he kicked goals, but he's farmed 2 or 3 out, and he's really been a focal point for them up forward. And there we see Prosser. What a wonderful, you know, example of vision. You know, a chip shot. And I think this on screen now is Kuipert.
2 goals for him.
2 goals for him. And he's made a substantial contribution to Springvale's side. But all in all, I just feel that they're a very, very balanced side. They're running in numbers, and they're playing extremely confident.
Just have to say to the respective teams at half-time.
Well, I enjoyed the...
Played the character, took a couple of good marks, used his strength, kicked a couple of goals. And this is what got Coburg going from the outset of that 3rd quarter, was that Brett Weatherall snap on the left foot, and what a fine goal that was. And I really felt that it resembled the Coburg of old, that 30 minutes of that 3rd quarter. They ran the ball out of the back line. Here's one of their rare sorties forward for Springvale, resulting in their only goal for the quarter. But this was the catalyst of their rejuvenation, was Billy Kacker. You know, at the base of every pack, farming the ball out to the running players. And there's Allison. Also, to his credit, he displayed great character coming back.
Kacker, 19 handballs in the match.
And Jeff Angwin, we see a couple of the old stalwarts I should give praise to. Sheldon, and here on screen we see Williams take one of his 2 marks that resulted in goals. But certainly Angwin and Sheldon across that back line, you know, were really instrumental in driving that ball forward. Well,
I think we got the idea of how the coaches felt at 3/4 time.
Jeffs. The tired Jeffs pulls it in. Nearly 28.5 minutes gone. Jeffs to centre wing. Dwyer from behind. Punched clear. Sheldon will see it over the line. Angwin is hurt. Angwin is hurt, limping just by the boundary line, by the umpire there.
I think it's his ankle, I think.
Right ankle. So it's not the knee. That's one blessing for Coburg fans. Here's Elliott. Springvale a point behind. The quarters have been fairly long. We've played 28 3/4 minutes. Darby gave it to Dwyer. The Vales to within 50 metres of goal. Littler spoils Nickel, raving from Prosser. It's there! 6 goals for Prosser. More importantly, Springvale take the lead on 29.5 minutes.
Prosser has been responsible for us 3 goals. That is a final 3 goals from a rover you would see anywhere.
And 3 of them in this last term.
All kicked at the clubhouse end.
Been one of the best displays of forward pocket roving I have witnessed for a long, long time in VFA.
Nearly 30 minutes gone. Springvale now by 5 points. Liston wins it. Through comes Langan. Sheldon brilliantly out to Angwin. Away goes Dwyer. Brilliant tackle by Dwyer. Rakavolis comes in. Creases his way through. It's desperate footy. Hand pass by Wells to Kaka. He's tackled. Now Langan. Williams trying to make something of it. It's over the line for a throw-in. 30
speechless, Ross.
minutes and 20 seconds gone. Phil Marlin on screen. Looks to the heavens.
This must be the last chance for Coburg. Whistle. It's a free kick for the Burgers. Well, the Vales fans can't believe it. We'll take a look at the incident after the shot for goal, but Greg Reynoldson, we've seen him kick some important sealing goals in the last 2 grand finals at Windy Hill. Prosser can't believe the decision. He's in a bit of trouble too, and he'll have to be removed from there before Reynoldson can shoot at goal. But this, I'd say, to win the game for Coburg. He's missed. Springvale hold a 4-point lead, 31 minutes into the last quarter.
Well, what a let-off. What a let-off.
Phil Cleary can't believe it. Greg Reynoldson. Not had a great day. Now, Dempster. As long as he can kick it. Out towards Simon Clark. Second at the back. Tried to bring in a Specky. Stewart, this could be it. Quick exchange from Coop to Jeffs. He spears one in, but in the way, Ingram. One last chance for Coburg. Ingram runs hard at the footy. Paddles it on, using his strength. Rakavolis tries to throw it out. Still in position.
Too long.
Yes. Holding the ball, says the
Come
umpire.
back to him, he kept all of it.
Oh, what
Ready?
desperation.
Brilliant last 10 minutes.
Oh,
Well,
it
he's
took an
gonna
army
take-
to...
There it is. 32 minutes the quarter went, and Springvale, victorious. Cameron Stewart holds the footy aloft. Well, they've given their fans heart failure. They lead by 30 points at half-time. 33-point turnaround in the 3rd quarter saw Coburg take the lead, and they look for most of the last quarter to have won it. But Prosser has kicked a magical goal. He's kicked 6 goals, all at the grandstand end, all class goals, and well, it's been a tough job, but he is the Ward's man of the match. Rob Prosser for Springvale, but more importantly, they've beaten the reigning premiers. That's going to do them so much good. The team that everyone is saying will be the trendsetters this season.
The MCG and Victoria Park, the clash of unbeaten leaders.